Today, I'm going to go over some of the most common lies that are floating around the author sphere. Writer lie number one, it's going to be easy. A lot of times, writers that are already successful or people who are trying to sell you products or services will tell you that success can come easy. That hasn't been my experience. Not when it comes to the writing of the books or the selling of the books. Writing my first book was ridiculously hard. And guess what? Writing my 40th book was also ridiculously hard. For different reasons. Even though I have a better process in place to get books written now, the daily grind of writing words takes its toll. Book after book, year after year, trying to keep things interesting, trying out new plots, trying to keep readers happy, and coming back for more. Some days, it's so hard that you might think about giving up. Maybe the words just aren't coming. You're feeling ridiculously blocked. Or you have 50,000 words left until you finish the first draft of your manuscript, much less have it finished and polished off and ready for publishing. Selling your books generally isn't any easier. I failed hard for 2 solid years before I got a single taste of success. For most of that time, I was only selling a handful of copies a month. It was bleak. And I was trying all sorts of things. I was out there trying to hustle, but most of the time, I ended up flailing around to no avail. Failure can come in many forms. Maybe you've released a number of books and they aren't doing anything. Perhaps you're running paid ads and are losing money. Or even worse, you have a bunch of books but very little income to show for it. Trust me, this whole writing thing isn't easy. It's hard. Now, let's talk about writer lie number two. If your heart isn't in it, your readers will be able to tell. A lot of the time, this argument comes up when someone suggests that you should be writing to market. It's natural for authors to write what they want, to follow their heart, to satiate their muse. Meanwhile, writing to market sounds a lot like selling out. If you're just churning out books for hungry readers rather than working on projects that are near and dear to your heart, it can be a real grind. There is also a fear that readers will be able to tell that you're just going through the motions. But will they really? Authors love to say this, but in most cases, it's incredibly untrue. I have written and published dozens of books in multiple genres that I've had little to no interest in. I saw an opening in the market and made a business decision to hit the tropes that readers wanted in that category. Was my heart in it? Nope. Did it matter? Nope. Those books sold, and they continue to sell. As a fiction writer, I'm a professional liar. I create fake worlds for a living. I make up characters, dialogue, plots. I'm a creative person. So, even if I don't happen to like writing a certain plot, even if I'm just doing it for the money, I still find a way to give the reader a good experience. My readers can't tell the difference between books that I've written for love and the ones that I've written for money. Not in the least. Now, time for writer lie number three. If you're not having fun, what's the point? The point is to make money, to pay your bills, to make a living. Unless you're independently wealthy, you're going to need to earn some cash. This is a business, a job. And like all jobs, sometimes it's not going to be fun. You might be having a bad day, or week, or year. There's a lot of ups and downs in this business. Some of them are creative related. Some of them are business related. Sometimes your sales are garbage and you're having trouble finishing your latest book. That's just what happens on occasion. Thankfully, it doesn't happen all the time. But when it does occur, it can be brutal. Let me stop for a moment and say that being honest like this comes at a cost. When I've told other writer friends my opinion on this issue, some of them say, why don't you just do something else for a living? There are easier ways to make money. First, I've had other jobs in the past. Horrible jobs. I've washed dishes. I've bussed tables. I've delivered pizzas. I've photocopied medical records. I've worked at multiple hotels. And guess what? Even the worst day of writing is better than all of those jobs. But that doesn't change the fact that a bad day of writing is still a grind. Second, when someone tells you there's easier ways to make money, they don't ever give you examples. Here's the thing. Where else am I going to find a job where I can make a full-time living? 1, working from home. 2, working about 4 hours a day. 3, being my own boss. And 4, having a very limited knowledge base. If you can come up with something, you let me know. I can't think of a single job that checks all 4 of those boxes like writing does. Now, before I move on, I just want to add one caveat. Part of my strong opinions are due to the fact that I'm a full-time author. If you're a hobbyist writer who isn't having fun, you can always just quit your work in progress. But if you rely on your writing to pay your bills, you learn to weather the storm. When things aren't fun, you realize it's just part of the business. Then you do your best to recapture your joy. I realize this is probably not the most inspiring talk you've ever heard. But there's good news. Even though there are bad days as a writer, there's also a lot of good days. There's a lot to be thankful for. I can make a living telling stories. I don't have to answer to a boss. I don't even have to leave the house if I don't want to. Also, I can still make money, even if my writing feels like a chore. In my mind, that's pretty amazing. Now, before you go, I want to tell you about a mini guide that I'm giving away for free. It's called The Top Mistakes That Self-Publishers Make. You can get your copy by clicking on link in the description of this video. Claim your copy now.